Being in good physical conditioning means a lot in the field of martial arts. It's what separates the top dogs from the rest of the pups. What exactly is conditioning? Conditioning is encompassed by these big physical attributes: strength, body resilience, both cardio and muscular endurance. And it's being able to effectively carry these attributes into later rounds in a fight, or maybe just a long duration of intensive training. For example, 36 minutes of training doesn't seem like a lot, but 36 minutes of an actual boxing match, that's a world of difference. 12 rounds of boxing equates to exactly 36 minutes. So for 36 minutes, you better be in top physical condition. From your strength, your power, cardio, muscular endurance, being able to take those punches, because you're not gonna go through a boxing match unscathed. So you gotta make sure you're in great physical condition. And this isn't including the mental aspect, which we'll talk about in a separate video. So it pays dividends to be well conditioned. Another great example of being conditioned, let's talk about training calisthenics. You decided for your workout, you're gonna do push-ups, pull-ups, dips, muscle-ups, all of these different exercises for like 4 to 5 sets. Now, to make sure you don't get injured, it will be advantageous for you to be in peak condition. So then that way, not only will you get quality reps, but you reduce the chances of you having an injury. Being properly conditioned as an athlete pays dividends. You need to have that strength, body resilience, both forms of cardio and muscular endurance, all wrapped into one to make sure you're in peak shape. So I touched on it briefly about being conditioned as an athlete. The biggest thing about being conditioned as an athlete is, like I said, you reduce the chances of you having an injury. Oftentimes when people get injured, if they're training, let's say for, I don't know, an hour, 2 hours, or they're going through sparring or an actual fight, it's simply due to the fact their body isn't conditioned. There are other factors that play a role, but if you get knocked out by a body shot that you see coming and you have the ability to tense up and you still get knocked out, you're in terrible physical condition, because a body shot should only really drop you when you don't see it coming. Not only being well conditioned will help you physically, but also mentally. So it's not only a physical thing, but it's also a mindset thing. That's why being conditioned is so crucial as an athlete. And not only does it play a role in martial arts, but also training. If you're getting your butt kicked by a strength and conditioning coach for like 45 to 60 minutes, a well-conditioned athlete is gonna be able to last 45 to 60 minutes. Might have some bumps here and there, but comparing that to the average person, let's say that's not really conditioned, they won't be able to last probably 10 to 15 minutes. Now, how do we implement training to be well conditioned? There's multiple ways to really get in peak conditioning shape, and it's very simple to program it. I'll give you guys some examples, really just coming from my personal experience. How a workout would look to improve my conditioning would consist of push lead for like 4 to 5 sets, some form of sprints, lifting weights, maybe like some squats, power cleans, of course, push-ups, pull-ups. You're doing all these crazy like exercises in a matter of 45 to 60 minutes. And sometimes even less than that. You might go 20, 30 minutes of peak conditioning, and it's gonna kick your butt, but you're gonna feel so much better. Hitting the heavy bag for rounds at a time is a way to condition your body. Riding your bike for 10, 12, 15 miles, and then maybe doing some calisthenics right after are great ways to improve your conditioning, because we wanna improve, once again, those 4 big attributes: our strength, body resilience, both cardio and muscular endurance. Putting all these things together will greatly improve your conditioning. When I was big on training amateur boxers back in the day, I would kick their butt for like 15, 20 minutes. I'm talking about run in place for like 5 minutes, and I would switch it up from running in place to jumping jacks or burpees, or you have to sprint from the field and back, push-ups, planks, all within 5 minutes, and you have like 30 to 60 seconds of rest, and then you repeat that for like 3 or 4 more rounds. I'm talking anywhere from 15 to 25 minutes of just whooping your behind workout. It's physically exhausting, and more importantly, it's mentally draining. But that's where the conditioning aspect plays such a role, because you have to be not only in good physical shape, but mentally strong. That's why when it comes down to how often should you train to be conditioned, I don't advise you guys to do this very often, because if you do way too much, that's where you're gonna have those bad drawbacks. Your whole recovery process is gonna be completely thrown off. You won't get as much rest. You're gonna be mentally and physically exhausted. You're not gonna eat as much. You're just gonna feel absolutely terrible. That's why when you train to be conditioned, It's all about properly programming it. So let's say if you're in your off season, I don't really advise you guys to go and do some crazy conditioning workout. And if you do, maybe like once, twice a month, and don't go crazy hard with it. Now, if you're in camp, the whole landscape just changes. You still have to be smart with it, however. Don't be going through a conditioning workout like once, twice a week, crazy conditioning. No, you don't need that because you're still gonna be doing your basic training on top of that. So you have to make sure you push yourself, and it's easy to overdo it when it comes to training conditioning. So let's say for a person who wants to get in really good shape for like 2 or 3 months, I would suggest no more than like 5 or 6 conditioning workouts out of the month. Maybe like once or twice a week, but you vary the intensity. So maybe you go hard like on a Monday, but on a Friday, you just kind of lower the intensity. You just have to be smart with this because this is all coming from my personal experience when I was actually competing. And not just competing, I just wanted to push myself just to see where I was at mentally. I don't always advise that, but if you really want to push yourself just to see what you're made of, like some David Goggins type stuff, don't do David Goggins type stuff all the time. Like that's crazy. But just to, see where you're at mentally, maybe like once a week. Again, it just really depends on your goals. For me, a guy that's just training to accomplish the full planche and just sharpen up some of my martial arts skills, I'll probably condition myself maybe like once or twice a month. And it's nothing really crazy. Now, when I get done accomplishing some of my goals, then I'm gonna probably move forward to more conditioning because I just miss that feeling of just being able to last for a long period of time. So really listen to your body, and let's say you're an amateur fighter or a professional fighter, listen to your coach because they should know what's best for you. Now the key thing is, how do you know you're overdoing it? You're gonna feel it, trust me. You're gonna feel really tired, irritable, your eating pattern's thrown off, your sleeping pattern's thrown off. There's just gonna be multiple signs right there that's gonna let you know that I'm overdoing it. Even if you're getting ready for, let's say, a fight, if you go through crazy conditioning all throughout that camp and you show up to fight, you might think you feel good, but let's say like an 8-round fight, let's say you're in like the 3rd or 4th round, you might feel really tired by then because it's all about properly programming your conditioning workout. You don't want to do too much and you still want to give yourself adequate rest when you get closer to your fight date. So you have to be really smart and listen to your body. Your body's gonna give you signs, believe me. You might be waking up 2 or 3 times out of the night, don't have any reason why you up at 3 in the morning, but you just up like, how come I can't go back to sleep? That's why it's important you go to bed at a reasonable time, you eat. Make sure you guys are refueling your workouts in the process as well. The last thing I want to tackle today is how conditioned should you be physically? Again, it really depends on your goals. I think for a person who's training calisthenics and they want to be able to go for a long time with push-ups, pull-ups, dips, muscle-up squats, jump lunges, you should be able to do 100 squats with no problem. You should be able to do like anywhere from 50 to 75 push-ups with no problem. And let's say you're going into pull-ups, being able to do like anywhere from 8 to 15 pull-ups after you just got done doing your squats, your push-ups. If you could do 8 to 15 pull-ups at a time, then I would say you're pretty well conditioned. But again, it just really depends on the person. A person might be heavier, a person might be lighter. Lighter people are gonna do well with that type of stuff because they're not really moving so much weight at a time. But a person who's like, I don't know, 175, 195 pounds, they gotta work a little bit harder because they're moving more weight. So you have to just make sure you listen to your body and just make sure when you're training throughout the week, go through some conditioning little circuits. See how many pull-ups you could do in a row after you got done just doing your entire workout, or how many push-ups you could do in a row. It's all about building that work capacity. The same thing with martial arts. If you can do 200, 300 side kicks, that's great. I would say you're pretty conditioned. If you're moving your way to like 700 to 1,000 side kicks in a day, that's a well-conditioned athlete for sure. So it really just boils down to your goals. In terms of martial arts, being able to have like good punches, good kicks in a duration of your training or a match, that's a critical thing to have in your arsenal. When you look at some of the old school martial artists, they were doing the basic stuff for like 2 or 3 hours at a time. I'm talking maybe holding a horse stance for like 5 or 10 minutes, or maybe even longer. Doing like 300 to 500 side kicks, just doing the same thing over and over. That's a well-conditioned athlete. It's not glamorous to look at, but when it comes down to it, if you get in an altercation with those type of guys, I'm telling you, those guys are gonna be mentally sharp because they went through the same gruesome exercises all day throughout the week. That takes a special type of individual. It's not all about the glamour and how you look, it's about how you perform. Because a well-conditioned fighter is a dangerous fighter. And that's, like I said in the beginning, that's what separates the top dogs from the rest of the pups. So make sure you guys work on improving your conditioning. And be sure, if you stay conditioned through the duration of today's video, smash that like button, drop a comment below. Most importantly, make sure you are properly subscribed. That means that notification bell is turned on. I'll see you guys next video. Peace and mad love as always, guys. And now shave! Boom! We out, baby.